All right, and looks like we're live, everyone. Looks like we're live. Perfect. So here we are. This is the Free Appraisal Friday. We got some cool items to show you guys. We also have a giveaway that we've put on Facebook. So anyway, the lucky winner will get this beautiful set of earrings. Now, these earrings are made from the dust of the Belle Island mines, where there were all kinds of deaths and stuff, catastrophes. I've actually included the list of, it's a 9-page list of the people that died, what mine they were in, the dates and all that stuff. These earrings are made from the dust from that, and as an extra added bonus, they glow in the dark. They're we got them infused with the well, it's not uranium, but stuff that makes uranium glass glow green is also in this. So anyway, hey Mike, how are you? Nice to see you. So anyway, I just asked the sheriff to pick a number, our good buddy Lewis. So just give me 1 second, everyone. All right, so how are you today, Mike? Nice to see you. Welcome to Free Appraisal Friday. So this is where we're going to be talking about all kinds of antiques. I got some really cool, interesting pistols here to discuss today. This is the earliest one we've ever did, so this is kind of a little bit of a litmus test just to see if there's people, that want to come by during the day as opposed to in the evening. Okay, so just give me 1 second here now. I got to do a little tiny bit of counting, because we want to do the draw fair. So, okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. So congratulations, we have our winner. The winner is, for this beautiful earring set, is Jess Tisdale. So anyway, we will make a post now after this live. So thank you, Mr. Lewis, for your help. I wanted to do an app with the spinning wheel, and I guess I'll do that after. But we did the caveman way to draw today. We just asked one of our good buddies to pick a number between 1 and the amount of numbers that were the amount of notifications that said I want in. So anyway, I couldn't afford the wheel. So let's get this up here. So hey, how are you today, guys? Who we got here? We got Lewis. We got Mike. Get this out of the way. So congratulations. Really cool little gift. And of course, shipping is free as well. That'll go out to you completely free of charge. And yeah, so hope to see you around sometime. So anyway, got these cool little pistols. It works. Yep, works. So it's always cool when you see these real old nice brass, I call them pirate pistols because they sell a lot better when you associate them with pirates. However, this one never saw a pirate in the walls of the world. This one here dates to around, it's a cap, so it's after 1840 for sure. This mechanism was invented around 1840, or that's kind of where they're two. Before that, it would have been a flint and steel mechanism, and if it was converted, you could tell by the way the lock is on the firearm. But anyway, this one here, he's stamped. He's a real nice one. I believe it's a Belgian made, if memory serves me correctly. But anyway, real nice brass piece. And like I say, around 1840, 1850-ish. Real nice piece. And then, of course, we got this one here is a bit older. This one's the very first started the cap. That's why I popped him in. Let's see if he works. Yep. So pretty cool when you can haul back the hammer of something so old and boom, So really, if you had your charge and you load her up, you probably fire that one. It's good, nice thick bore on it. Beautiful piece. And then we have this one here. Now this is a double barrel. Obviously, 2 barrels, and 2 triggers. So yeah, again, 1840-ish, 1850-ish. little bit newer than this guy, but still real cool mechanism. Let's see. Oh, geez, he cocks real nice. Oh, wow. Bang. So not bad. Working little pistols from the early 1800s. You know, you don't see that every day. And of course, I keep them original because some people are like that. So yes, there is a little bit of dust on the bottle and there's a bit of rust on the barrel. But at the end of the day, if someone were so inclined to clean them up, they could look like $1,000,000. I don't clean them up personally because some collectors don't like them cleaned, and I like to give a very authentic piece to my collectors. And if they decide to do it, well, that's completely on them. But it's not very hard to get this one or any of them for that matter looking like $1,000,000. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys this today. And anyone got any ideas on prices? What do you think these are worth? I see people coming and going. So anyway, just curious what you guys think. I don't know old guns. Really, Lewis? He only knows the new ones, huh? Good army man like you don't know about old guns. What? Yeah. The fun factor, or the fun fact about this is you'd probably be within swinging distance for it to be accurate anyway. Especially that little guy. You imagine a barrel that short, right? Like it's not even. I actually had a Baker one time. Baker was the first firearm that had rifling in the barrel. It was like a novel invention in 1803. They only produced the Baker 2 years, 1803 and 1805. Is an incredibly rare gun. But anyway, long story short, it was the first gun with rifling in the barrel. Other than that, just I challenge you to a duel, sir. Bang, and you wouldn't even hit him half the time. But anyway, and then the flip side, if you were shooting down there, you probably hit them right between the eyes. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, these are pretty cool. They're worth around $500 each, just to be in this state. Now, if I were to clean them up and add a little bit of grease to them and all that stuff, you could probably add a little bit more value to them. But they're really cool. I got some real nice long guns as well. Like, well, you guys know me as the oddity collector, the oddity dealer, and the skulls and whale bones. But up here, I'm kind of known as the firearm guy. I got, lots and lots of firearms, all antique, of course, But it's really cool. I love firearms. Always have, always will. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you guys today. Yeah, good job, Mike. Yeah, that's about where you're to with these in that particular condition. Yeah. Mike guessed right. Congratulations, Mike. This one is special. I kind of got a little place in my heart for this one because he's it's real nice brass. I love the look of brass for some reason like that. The real old brass got that real special patina that's so hard to fake and reproduce, and you just get it with time, right? I picked up a musketoon at one point, and what a musketoon is it's a cross between a blunderbuss and a cannon, and they were originally invented in the age of piracy when people were boarding the ships. And basically, it was a handheld cannon that, like I say, was a cross between a cannon and a blunderbuss, which is the old pilgrim gun with the funnel at the end. And anyway, this one was a firearm very similar to this, incredibly well made with brass that flared out just a bit. And the idea of it was when people were boarding the ship and you fired, because you would only get one shot and you'd have to reload, which took time. And then the sword was much more effective weapon, obviously, but it would take out X number of people, like just would fire the shot, right? Oop, I got something dinging on my phone. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, yeah, right underneath the table, right? You get the dead man's hand. You calling me a cheat, Lewis? Back in the old west, right? All we need is a few cowboy hats, buddy. I watch this guy on YouTube. He's I forget the name of his business now, but "Keep it wild" is the slogan. He always puts the golden nail in the hat, and man, he makes some crazy cowboy hats. So one of these days when I go down there, I'm gonna drop in his store and get a crazy ass cowboy hat. Never had one in my life, so just to be a gangster for a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't last too long. I wouldn't do too good against Doc Holliday, but yeah, I can hold my own in on a range. But the only thing I can't hit is a damn rabbit. Diddly with everything else. Moose, I'm a sniper. Ducks, partridge, man, diddly. But those damn rabbits, get too excited. Nothing better than hearing the dogs squeal on the rabbit. You know, he's coming around, your heart races, and oh, then this little thing's jumping around. Man, so frustrating, but so much fun. Oh, good. We got another friend. Now, who was that just popped in? So anyway, guys, that's a little bit of that. So we can move on to the jewelry. What do you think of this piece? Good old sterling silver. And guys, if you have any items you'd like to have appraised, it is free appraisal Friday. So by all means, pop it in the group or whatever. Beautiful piece. Reese would give me $1 for that. Yeah. So guys, having a good day. And thank you guys for popping in. Maybe it's a bit too early for people. That was nice in the day to have a little bit of an early show today. Had a few plans that I was doing, and I'm working on a bunch of mineral claims and permits. Geez, all I'm doing is dealing with government this time of year. It's nuts. So, what do you think of the bracelet I sent you yesterday? That's really cool, man. I need to do a test on it to see the silver content. If it is silver, it's hard to tell by the pictures, obviously. But that's a really cool piece, man. I like it a lot. The dragon motif or whatever on the end for sure. But the value in that is if it's silver, and if it is, then it obviously jumps in price. But as a piece, if it's not silver, easily a couple $100 easily, and that's if it's not silver. If it is silver, well, you can add quite a bit to that. But it's yeah, it probably is. The good old it definitely looks Celtic and like done in the quote Viking Norse motif, so that always adds a bit to it too as well, and adds a little bit of a buzz to it. Like I say, you really need to have a look at it to check the age of it for sure. But it's not a cheap piece. If that's what it's hard to verify it, like I say, unless that one's in front of me because of the intrinsic value. But you got a real nice one there that you can use and wear and enjoy. But that'll be a cool talk. The difference of the dragons, like the Japanese, Chinese, Celtics, Norse, obviously, and that'll be a pretty cool talk too. I think down the road. So anyway, seems how I got here. What do you think of these guys? I did a talk on the ancient artifacts there the other night, and don't think Lewis came, so there you go. So anyway, what a lot of people don't realize with ancient artifacts, and these are ancient. This one here is a bit older. This is late Kingdom, and this one here is Middle Kingdom. But anyway, this one here was a priest to a horse. And let's see if I can get that out. Give me a second. So as you can see, this is inscribed. And pretty cool piece. But anyway, long story short, what a lot of people don't realize is that when it comes to Egyptian artifacts, in some cases laws are very strict, in some cases laws are relaxed. And what people often forget is that the Egyptians I'm going to probably get in trouble here, but I'll say it anyway, are the biggest con artists on the planet. And one of their big industries over there is actually reproducing artifacts and selling them as fakes, okay? So the fact of stuff coming out of Egypt and all that crap, believe me, they like that fact in many cases because it's promoting their tourist industry and whatnot. And a lot of artifacts that are in private collections are fake. So they look the part, they act the part, they're made from the same materials, but they're fucking fake. And a lot of that is because the scandalous people that are selling them. Now, no one wants anyone to go and rob a grave or to do anything malicious or to hurt history or whatever. However, what we have to realize is that the British colonized Egypt, and during the what we call the British occupation up until the 1950s, they really didn't give a, especially in the early days up in, from 1880 to 1900, they really didn't give a shit. Sorry, 1800 up until 1900. They really didn't care. And in many cases, what the joke was throw another pharaoh on the fire. And what that joke alludes to is when they were putting the tracks through that, they would use the mummies instead of coal, right? It was a little bit facetious, but that was their attitude. They just wanted to colonize the area, and they didn't really give a damn too much about the artifacts per se. So anyway, a lot of stuff was destroyed, damaged, shipped to the British Museum, shipped wherever, and a lot of artifacts got destroyed because of that. In Canada here, we had an instance where back in 1837, there was a guy who wanted to start a museum in Niagara Falls, Canada, and he basically wrote the British Museum, and he's like, hey, can you send some stuff over? And they sent him 9 mummies, a bunch of Egyptian artifacts, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, long story short, that collection was in Niagara Falls, Canada. Uh, they turned the mummies into paint. Yeah, exactly. They did a lot of shit with mummies and a lot of shit with artifacts. Man, it was nuts. And we're even seeing it today. In the Middle East, like the Islamic. Not to be racist or say anything negative about Islam, but the fanatics, they would go into the ancient sites and they just destroy it. So one needs to really kind of look at where the items are going, how they're getting there, and the respect that's being shown. Because I can guarantee you, I know, like my clients, an item that comes in their collection is going to be respected, praised, appreciated, whole 9 yards. And it's a give and take, right? Like, no one wants there to be grave robberies, no one wants there to be any destruction, but the reality is that there are laws in place, and as long as you follow those laws, you're fine. And a lot of people don't know those laws, and the laws change based on the jurisdiction. For instance, this piece came from Egypt. This piece came from Egypt. This piece is part of the Hittite Empire. This piece is from ancient Greece. Now, every one of these items, in order to own legally, has a bunch of different regulations that you have to follow, both from the country that it came from and the country that it's going to. Now, in many cases, a lot of the artifacts that I have in particular are well before 1970, which is the cutoff, basically. So if you got items that came over before 1970, you're pretty well in the clear, unless it's something that's so culturally important, like a moai from Easter Island, that they're trying to get back. It's in the British Museum, stuff like that. Like we had a Beothic canoe that was a child's canoe, the first one ever discovered. It was discovered on Red Indian Lake. It's renamed now because of the racist connotations of the woke idiots. So the lake here was called Red Indian Lake ever since its discovery, because there were red Indians on it. The Beothic used to use red orca and cover their whole bodies, and they were red, so that's why they were called the Red Indians. And anyway, that name now they changed it. But anyway, long story short, there was a little child's canoe, and it wound up in Edinburgh in the university over there. And Newfoundland was forever trying to get back those or that particular item, and they wouldn't give it back. And it like I know when I was in there, I wrote letters to the museum saying, like, this is an important part of our culture, our history. We really need it. It shouldn't have left anyway, but whatever. And came about after. It's here now, but it came back after me. Obviously, had nothing to do with it. But that's that's the core of the issue. Now this stuff here, this has Egypt has millions of these. They're so cool, but when you get a piece like this, one, most people wouldn't even realize what it is until you tell them. And as long as your items has paperwork and you can get an expert to verify, well then you're pretty well in the clear. And that's what a lot of these people don't understand. And a lot of them are buying stuff for cheap. One, they're fake anyway, so you don't need to worry about nothing anyway because it's not authentic. But for the people out there that are really honestly interested in investing in artifacts, here's what you do: marry yourself up with a really knowledgeable antique dealer. Okay, that's your first step. Then what you do, because there's no antique dealer out there going to risk their reputation, I don't think, in selling either fraudulent artifacts, unless they make a mistake. Mistakes happen. Fraudulent artifacts, or artifacts that are from grave robberies, or done improperly, that were shipped over improperly, or anything like that. Now this particular piece here was indeed involved in a grave robbery. Now this one here, this was taken in 1873. It is a well-documented instance that happened. And basically all the pieces went from Egypt to Turkey, and then a lot of them were shipped to North America and wound up in North American collections prior to 1900. Okay, now this piece here, I love it. I love the story that's around it. I use it as examples, whatever. Believe me, my good friends in Egypt know that I have this piece, and sadly, in one sense, there's not a goddamn thing they can do about it because it was done prior to 1970. It's here, it's done, blah blah blah. All the paperwork is there. Now, what they're trying to do is obviously get items from that particular instance back, and it's completely fine if they do that. But when someone passed away in Egypt, they would mummify them, obviously. And these washabis, they would make umpteen thousands of them. And they already have examples of these that were taken. So it's not overly important to them to have this particular piece back. And while it's mine, it's going to be enjoyed and cherished and treasured and all that kind of fun stuff. And I can also explain the history of it and the legalities around it. And believe me, like I say, I've used it multiple times throughout my career so far to establish what can happen and why it shouldn't happen anymore. But the sad thing is we can't go back in time. We can't rectify it, but we can appreciate it why it's here. And that's the thing. Now, this particular piece, this one was an excavation, whole 9 yards, done properly, blah, 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 blah. And, that one's as pure as the driven snow, as the saying goes, right? So here you have a tale of two washabis. One came from a negative connotation, the other one came from a positive connotation, but both are here, and both can legally be sold and change hands, just because of the fact of the age of when they were taken from Egypt, okay, or exported from Egypt. So that's the reality. Now, if this were to happen today, highly illegal, lots of laws around it, whole 9 yards, right? So anyway, so that's the thing. And what I always say, no matter if you're selling a whalebone, a lion's skull, an Egyptian artifact, the devil is always in the details. And that's what people don't understand, right? I can go and shoot a moose here and I would go to jail right now. However, in the fall of the year, when I get a moose license, it's completely legal. The action is exactly the same. A moose is going to die. But one instance, completely illegal, and you'll get jail time. The next one is awesome, great job. You have fun and share some moose with your buddies and go on the beer. So again, the devil's in the details, right? Let's they turn them on and think you'd be surprised what some people would do. Yeah, exactly. And the sad reality is, what I'm seeing now, a lot of it is coming from China. There's a lot of like the old time grave, like the Indiana Jones kind of grave robbing stuff, in Egypt. Like this is what hit your mind whenever you see Egyptian artifacts, but it's not the case. In many cases, digs are privatized, or, in the past they were privatized. They came from the British era up until 1950. They were from legitimate sources, et cetera, et cetera. That's 95% of how the artifacts get into the realm of collectors, right? And another thing too, I think there's a big misconception out there with wannabe collectors and people that are real true collectors and museums, because it seems like the wannabes, they think that the collectors and the museums are always at odds, and that's not true. For instance, if there was a museum here that wanted this piece to display, I would be more than happy to display the piece at the museum for anyone, or this one, or whatever, because one, is getting your item known. It ain't going to hurt the value of it. That's for damn well sure. As it's going to be a known piece. It's going to get all kinds of advertisement, and ultimately, it's the securest place that you're ever going to put your artifacts are in a museum for everyone to share, everyone to see, right? The other side of it is you don't want to put items in a museum or donate to a museum that it's going to be put in the basement. No one's ever going to see it again. So then it's better to be in a private collection. But a lot of people don't understand the relationships that are there. What's this? In Canada, do you have to be certified to establish the head or provenance of an item? In the States, it's kind of, I'm the expert because I say I'm an expert. Yeah, well, see, the reality is that there's very few, there's really no governing body on when it comes to experts in antiques. But what they do is they base it on your knowledge and your time in the industry, and if you're known or not. Like, for instance, if someone were just to pop up Joe Blow antique store, you probably wouldn't get an appraisal. Like, if someone who wanted to start off into business of being an antique dealer, what I would suggest is you start off, you get your products, you get your inventory. I would never recommend having an antique store, because brick and mortars are just foolish, and you don't make money behind a desk waiting for someone to come in to give you $20 on a damn sale, right? You want to be the Indiana Jones finding stuff. That's what I like about it, and everything's on the internet now anyway. But anyway, get your stuff, become known, develop your legs, your respect in the industry, marry yourself up with people that are in the industry that know the stuff. Like, when I started out being a young collector, I was just a collector, and I wanted to be talking to the people who were in the industry for so long, the Mike Knights of the world, the Reuben Bartletts, the Les Butlers. Like, they were really big names back when I was only a kid in coins, antiques, Newfoundland history. Another thing what you should do is go and get as much knowledge in history as you can, i.e., like a university degree, give lectures, give talks, all kinds of stuff out there. Become an expert in your field, basically. Then, after a little bit of time, contact an insurance company and tell them what you're doing. Explain to them your knowledge, why you know the stuff, blah, 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 blah. And when you get your first legitimate insurance appraisal, that's kind of the litmus test from being a Joe Blow to an expert, right? Because when you can say, like, listen, I've done appraisals for insurance purposes, and my signature, an insurance company will pay out in the event of a disaster, and that's kind of the litmus test. If you can say that and you can do that, that's what really is the aha moment, as it were, right? So that's how I would do it, and it's all about legitimacy. And ultimately, like, I've started an appraisal group here in Newfoundland, but ultimately, if you're in the United States, really, do you care what someone in Newfoundland is saying, or vice versa, right? So you kind of got to be well known to so many people as much as possible, and that's where networking comes in. So, like, up here, I'm incredibly well known, so that's why people come to me, and that just creates the almost like the wave, right? It's like the snowball on the top of the hill. You started off as very small, and then by the time it gets to the bottom, it's really large. But when you're starting out, it's very difficult. And another thing too, a lot of people in the antiques business, I don't want to say fly by nights, but they're not doing it as their full-time job. And when you do it as your full-time job and you're like, this is me, this is my life, this is my business, that sets you apart too, right? Because a lot of people that are doing this is a real nice side gig or a side hustle, and it's not their main source of income, right? So, for instance, there's a big organization here called CAND, canned. I forget what it's called. Whatever. It's Canadian Association of Domestic Dealers. Basically, the big coin dealership. You know something? I cannot be a member of that association because I don't only sell coins. Now, I think it's pure racism, pure bullshit, but in order to be a member of that association, your business has you have that's has to be your job, a coin dealer, and you can't sell anything else, only coins. Like, what the fuck? So I can't sell any, like, why can't I be a member of your organization? I'm selling coins. I'm selling more coins than most of your members. But nope, that's one of their main rules. You got to be totally um, exclusive to coins. And it's like, whatever. But anyway, that's one of their rules. So that just is kind of some of the stuff that sets you apart or whatever. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's all about reputation. It's all about legitimacy. And, like I say, having a degree in history is not a bad thing. Or doing talks, doing lectures. Even if you don't have a degree, there's lots of programs in universities called, they're called different things all over the world, but basically higher education, extended learning programs, stuff like that, where you can basically jump in there. Yeah, and another thing too, Lewis, when you have that business number attached to your name, that really sets you apart too. So, start a business that's new flying domestics and runs out. Yeah, I could do that, but it's really not worth it to me because at the end of the day, they're only a small organization anyway. I was just using it as an example. I really don't give a shit. But I'm a member of so many organizations. I don't need them, but it's kind of comical, right? But yeah, one of my friends, he had he had the exact same name. Now this is a few years ago. Both of them are dead now. But anyway, I'm not going to use their name. But Joe Blow had the exact same name as Joe Blow. And anyway, one guy was really good, like a real amazing man. The other guy was he was a criminal, for lack of a better word. He'd skin a louse for a cent. And anyway, my buddy here, he was trying to get in these organizations. They wouldn't let him in because they thought it was this guy. And anyway, he went through hell just because of the same name. And I always got a kick out of that. But he's like, Bon, how come I can't get in? How come? What's the reason? And anyway, when I inquired about it, that's what they were saying. They're like, how in the hell can we let him in? Look, he's got all these complaints, blah blah blah. And anyway, I'm like, no, that's not this guy. Look at the address. But anyway, but yeah, to answer your question, Lewis, that's a lot of it is start your business, get your get a degree or some sort of education in it. Build your reputation, do insurance appraisals. That's all how it works. Oh yeah, well you got in after. He was 75 or 76 when he got in, but he was trying for like I'm going to say 20 years. And anyway, they would not let this guy in, and anyway, all because of the same name. But luckily, the only guy had my name was my father, and he was good as gold. So, and he was an antique dealer. But anyway. It's so comical because there was my great uncle Bond and my father. His name was Bond too, and of course I'm Bond. So anyway, I never met my uncle. He passed away, and then of course I was born, so it was me and Dad. So anyway, the joke that I kind of got is that there's only ever two Bonds in the world, two Bond Radits in the world, and we're kind of like the fucking Sith, right? So the rule of two. So, one of these days, my kid's going to be born. I'm going to like, arise, Lord Vader. And no one's going to get that joke, only me. But it's going to be fucking funny. So anyway, yeah, I like the Sith, man. I need to get the robe now. I'm kind of like the Emperor. So I need my apprentice, right? But yeah, it's a lot of fun navigating the world of legalities and stuff like that. And the sad reality is a lot of people do stuff for a quick buck, and they don't realize the trouble that they can get into, and all that stuff, and ultimately, like, mistakes can be made. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything. I make mistakes too, but sometimes people they take a lot of risk, and they're almost like they're asking for it, and they don't do the paperwork, or they don't do the checks and balances and all that stuff, and at the end of the day, it doesn't do well, because high end clients, from my experience, want the paperwork, and they want the knowledge to know that everything is legitimate, because they're not buying it in many cases for any other reason than, one, they like it, they respect it, but they're also buying it for an investment, and an exit strategy. Like, I can guarantee you now, if you bought this piece 20 years from now, it is going to be worth a lot more than you paid today for it. And antiques, what a lot of people don't realize, antiques are a great hedge for investment, and they're a great way to park money. They're a great portfolio way to diversify your portfolio. And excuse me. And in many cases, you need an exit strategy after you invest, enjoy, and are done with it. Like, I'll buy a motorcycle and poke it away for a few years, and then boom, sell it and make more than what I paid for it. And I enjoyed it and used it while I had it, or whatever. And Bob's your uncle. And the same thing with this stuff. It's an investment. And when a collector comes in with me, and they're interested in getting a collection, investing money, whatever, that's my goal, is to turn them from a collector to a knowledgeable collector to an expert, and then ultimately all experts in this world, I'm telling you, turn into investors. And either they're investing by buying and reselling, or they're an investor in buying and parking their money in antiques, or some of their money in antiques, and then coming off of it after, when they wish to retire, or they wish to make their exit strategy, or whatever. We see it time and time again with intrinsics, right, with silver and gold. But with antiques, it's a little bit more of a longer game. Yeah, exactly, right. That's like me. Like, I've yeah, and like with me, when I started out, I said I'd never sell anything from my personal collection, ever. That was my rule. Never sell anything. Not from my personal collection. Nope. It was the biggest insult anyone ever asked me to sell anything. Not doing it. And I would even have, like, my business and my collection was entirely separate. Believe me, not even in the cards. And I remember, like, my first Newfoundland $2 gold pieces I got when I was a kid. And anyway, I was opening up my presents Christmas morning, and I got them all opened. And mom and dad were like, Santa Claus left you two more gifts. And I'm like, where the hell are they? They're not under the tree. But anyway, what happened is that night, mom wrapped up the coins in, like, little boxes, and she made a Christmas tree ornament out of them, so they're actually hanging on the tree. And anyway, mom and dad were like joking with me. They're like, just open up the boxes on the tree. So when I opened them up, one was an 1882 Newfoundland gold piece. The other was an 1888 Newfoundland gold piece, and worth around $300 each at the time. So anyway, that was fun. Ended with my first gold pieces. I loved it. Great. Moved on. So anyway, fast forward to around, I guess it was around 99, 98, something like that. First one, I was just starting my business. And anyway, this guy came to me, and he wanted Newfoundland gold pieces. And those were the only two I had were my own. And anyway, I said, yeah, I got them, but they're not for sale. And anyway, he looked at them, he loved them, and he offered me $1,500 each. So I'm like, nope, can't sell them. Not doing it. So anyway, I was there, and I was, that was fine. Dandy, he went on. Anyway, I was talking to Dad, and I told him what had happened, and Dad looked at me, and he's like, "Are you insane?" I'm like, "No, but it's the sentimental value. Like, I got them on Christmas and did all that and blah blah blah." And he's like, "No." He said, "How much are they worth?" And I said, "I don't know, probably $500-600." He said, "You were offered 1,500 each, and you wouldn't sell them." He said, "You are nuts." And that was kind of like the permission to sell my stuff from my collection. And I was like, something, you're right, because I can replace them. I can sell them, replace them, and pocket the money. And I'm like, yeah, something, I got to change my philosophy here, because it's an incorrect philosophy. And my philosophy now is like, I'll sell anything, but if you want it from my personal collection, you're going to fucking pay, right? Like it ain't coming out for cheap, but everything's for sale, and that's just reality. And that was kind of the way that I did it. So I call my collection a rotating collection because stuff comes in, stuff goes out, and lots of times you got to strike while the iron's hot, right? Like if all of a sudden now there's a huge interest in the Hittite Empire. Let's just say as a big movie comes out, and everyone's, well, this is going to jump in price. So you kind of got to be like, okay, well now it's the time. Like in '97 when the Titanic movie came out, all Titanic paraphernalia, propaganda, artifacts, items went through the fucking roof. That was your time back then to move it, right? That's just how it operates. But like I always tell people, yes, collect, enjoy, but always be cognizant of your exit strategy, because sometimes when you want to get out doesn't coincide with when the prices are the best. Sometimes it does, and you luck out. But and another thing too, you can never um, if you need speed, you're going to get hurt in on the investment side with antiques. Like normally, if someone wanted to retire and use their collection as a retiring, well, when you're 63, that's when you should start seeking out auction houses or developing a strategy for selling it, because in many cases, an auction house takes 6 months to a year, even longer sometimes, for it to actually go from the point of you sending your item out to receiving your item. And then of course, if you use eBay or whatever, well, then you're going to potentially get hurt on price anyway, right? But the big auction houses generally take a long time to get your money, and you don't want to be trying to pay the rent or the light bill while you're waiting on the auction houses to come in. So yeah, so anyway, I guess this was fun. I guess only me and Lewis and Mike here, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little talk. You want to talk about anything else or show anything, by all means, more than happy to discuss. But if not, we can just sign off. Only a few people here, but it was fun. Love talking about antiques. Love showing stuff off. And I hope you learned something, or at least enjoyed the chat. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good day, Lewis. I'm trying to grow these things. I don't know how to. If you have any ideas about how to grow these things and get people interested in the wonderful world of antiques, I'm all ears, man. Love doing this stuff. Anyway, guys, have a great day, and auction on Tuesday night. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good one.